So I urge all eligible Ghanaians, I repeat, all eligible citizens, that is, Ghanaians of 18 years of age or above, and of sound mind, no matter what party they belong to, if any, to go out and register so that they can exercise their civic responsibilities on 7th December to elect a government of their choice in a free, fair, peaceful, and transparent election. Using your God-given and constitutional rights costs nothing, but staying home can come at a very steep price. The pandemic notwithstanding, we have to strengthen Ghanaian democracy. It must be our collective duty to ensure that we have a register that is fit for purpose in December. And we must all make sure that persons who do not meet the requirements as set out clearly in the Constitution do not find their names into the register. If you aid the registration of an ineligible person and you are caught, you will face the full rigors of the law. The election on 7th December must be a Ghanaian election, not a West African election, conducted with a register of Ghanaian voters. That is the only way the true will of the Ghanaian people can manifest. It is crucial that both the registration exercise and the electoral process itself be conducted in an atmosphere of peace and security, devoid of intimidation and violence. 8 in the Volta region, 72 in the OT region, 69 in the Upper West region, 64 in Bruno region, 21 in Savannah region, and 14 in the Western region. Let me state, without any form of equivocation, that these deployments are not in any way intended to prevent or prevent Ghanaians from registering to vote in December. They are there for their express purpose, which is to guard our borders. That is the limit of their remit, and they will not be permitted to stay beyond that remit. I'm fully aware, like the military commanders, of the sensitivity of their deployments at this position in our history. And I'm confident that that sensitivity will be fully respected. I have no interest in disenfranchising any eligible Ghanaian from registering in tomorrow's exercise, nor am I interested in any improper machinations to win any election. I've spent my life fighting for free democratic institutions in our country, and I'll continue in that fight for the rest of my life. The idea of being a president who emerges from a rigged election is abhorrent to every fiber of my being. I want to continue to be the president of a Ghanaian people who have given me their free consent with the blessing of the Almighty.
Practice. All registration centers will be set up outdoors in open spaces, where schools, churches, and other such venues are used as registration centers. We will not set camp inside the school or church buildings. Our registration centers will be set up in open fields and open spaces outside the school and church buildings. We will not use the school or church furniture. We will use the Electoral Commission's furniture and set up for use as registration centers. This has been our policy and practice in times past and will remain so. As an added measure, our furniture and our fittings will be continually wiped with alcohol wipes. Other COVID-19 preventive measures that will be observed at all registration centers are as follows. All people entering the registration center or queuing to enter the registration center would be required to wear a nose mask. On arrival at the registration center, Every person's temperature will be taken using a thermometer gun. Persons with temperatures above 37.8 degrees Celsius will be directed to the health personnel at the registration centers or the nearest public health facility. Special arrangements will be made for them to register. The Commission will provide liquid soap and water with Veronica buckets for the mandatory washing of hands before joining the queue or entering the registration center. There will be strict adherence to physical distance of at least 1 meter in the queues at all centers. Our fingerprint scanners will be cleaned prior to the capturing of fingerprints of applicants using alcohol wipes. Hand sanitizers will be provided for the mandatory sanitizing of hands when leaving the stations. It is important to note that the Ghana Health Service has released some 7,000 health assistants to each of the registration centers nationwide. It is expected that the health assistants will assist us in ensuring strict adherence to the safety protocols outlined by the Electoral Commission.
And we know what the numbers are. Over 33,000 of these stations, and they are going to move in phases. So ultimately, if you're one of those over 40,000 registrants or officers going to take part, whether you're a data entry clerk or you're a laminator or you're somebody who ultimately is supervising, you know what you have to do. And, well, if you go to myjohnline.com, you go to the inside pages of the daily graphic from pages 22 to 59, you get to find how the movement is going to be like. But ultimately, it's the start of the new voter registration process. We have deployed across the country en masse various reporters and correspondents who are going to feed us with the latest they're getting, what the atmosphere is, where the sights and sounds are when it comes to the registration centers in all the 33,000 registration centers we have across Ghana. And it's where you can get the relevant update. We'll go to first our political scientist, Dr. KwameAsah-Asante is a senior political science lecturer, the political science department of the University of Ghana. We'll start the conversation, then we'll go to our various correspondents across the country. But Dr. KwameAsah-Asante, a good day for all of us. We've been looking up to this day for a very long time, haven't we? If you can unmute your sound, it would also help. I believe that your sound is muted.
Yes. Is it okay now?
Yes, it is. Please go ahead.
Right. Yes, it is good that we have arrived here. I believe we are going to move on smoothly and then conduct the affairs that need to be conducted so that we get the process right for the elections.
If you look at what the related issues and conversations have been until the Electoral Commission and the President came to do the briefing, you would say that there's a little tension still in the air.
Oh, definitely so. In elections, these things are to be expected. You get people who are overexcited. You get people who also have concern to express. You have those who are also serious about the business. So it's an environment of views. So at this time, these things are to be expected. Yeah.
What should we be looking out for? We as observers, as media, even though we have experience on our side, you have practiced journalism now, you're a lecturer in political science, you're also a consultant across board and doing the publications. What should they be?
The Electoral Commission, now that the road is clear for it to work, what they need to do is to be able to register people and register properly. What do I mean by this? We don't want a situation where at the end of the day, we are done with the registration and these ritual of bloated register phenomenon comes to hunters. We don't want that. We want a registration that will end all those issues once and for all. Two, we want to register, but we are also mindful of the fact that the disease is around with us. So the Electoral Commission must take seriously the protocols regarding COVID-19 and then balance it with how to register the people without them getting infected in one way or the other. This is the task that is ahead of Electoral Commission to be able to perform and perform well.
If we look at how the training has gone, there will be a constant consternation among those who have looked forward to elections across board that, look, perhaps we need to have a proper way forward by looking at the timelines, the concerns that have been raised about it being closer to the main election than the usual periods that we've seen.
Yes, the Electoral Commission has assured us that there is no cause for alarm. So you and I have no problem about it at all. It is their duty to live by their promise. That is what we expect for them. Nothing more, nothing less. We expect that.
The times have changed. From the early years of the 2000s, when you and I witnessed those elections, 2004, we're in the day where technology has become an integral part of our daily living. And it looks like the Electoral Commission wants to do this. Ultimately, how do we balance the old order and the new order?
Yes, we are in a different environment. So the environment dictates what we should do at this point in time. Now, because of COVID, there's not going to be face-to-face campaign. So people are going to use the media as in the modern media and the old media, balance it to be able to reach out to people in terms of their messages. Electoral Commission also has introduced a lot of things into the process that will also facilitate the process and make it better for us. So we expect that all in all, the Electoral Commission should be able to do its best.
If you look at the highlights of what has transpired over the last 12 months, where if not 12 months or let's say 18 months, so to speak, starting from the Ayawaso West Wagon, which will not be the first time where in an election period we've seen some extreme violence or provocations. How is that going to play on the mind psychologically of the would-be registrants or voters?
Yes, it is the duty of the Electoral Commission to make sure that we have free, fair elections. And one of the cardinal points in free and fair elections is that we provide adequate security when registration is going on. It is the duty of government to support the Electoral Commission with adequate security so that what we experience at Ayawaso will not occur here. And because once you begin to have such evils rearing their ugly hairs into the political system, it takes away the confidence that people have in the system and it throws the election into all manner of problems. We don't want that. I believe the Electoral Commission has learned from all these examples and will be able to step up its game.
There's a great debate until now about who a Ghanaian is, and the president somehow, whether it's coincidental or perhaps emphatically, did say that in his speech, that the election needed to be a Ghanaian one and not a West African one. What's your reading of that statement the president made?
I think listening to the president, he was just expressing some sentiments about the fact that some people come from West African sub-region, as it were, to vote in Ghana and all that. So this time around, all measures are put in place to make sure that we don't get such individuals into our registration process. That is, to my mind, what the president tries to put across. It is the duty of the Electoral Commission to make sure that those people we get on the roll who will go and vote in December 7th are nothing but Ghanaians. So they should be able to ensure that we get Ghanaians into the register. But we should not also do it in such a way that we ward off Ghanaians who are legitimately Ghanaians, who are Ghanaians by law, will prevent them from registering. And that will mean that we are going to disenfranchise them. We should avoid that situation and create an environment where Ghanaians will be able to get to the registration center, register without any fear or intimidation whatsoever.
That criticism of the whole process up to now, especially from the opposition, and even prior to the opposition airing their views from Imani and the rest of civil society about a likelihood of disenfranchisement because of the processes, perhaps processes that could have been made away with. Is that a possibility from the point of the political scientists?
Oh, every time there's election, these issues come up. And unfortunately, we have not, as a state, been able to deal with it head on. I believe that the time has come for us to look at this carefully so that we can handle it well, so that all the fears that people have with regard to these issues will be wiped off. It is the duty of the Electoral Commission, once again, to make sure that we get the right people to register so that all these blame game will be a thing of the past.
But the possibility of getting somebody disenfranchised is possible. If the process is laborious, it's very inhibitive, it's possible to get some demographics within the population disenfranchised.
I think the average voter is aware that we are not in normal times and that the process obviously is going to be a little longer than usual because, look, unlike previous elections, we didn't have COVID around our necks. So you just go there and a few minutes, you are done with the registration. This time around, you are going to do the registration at the same time, observe the protocols of COVID-19. And that obviously would throw the time into an extra time. So people should brace themselves for such things and then have patience that this is a civic duty and that they need to be patient and do it right.